Hello everyone, welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing The Hive by Orson and Aaron Johnston. This is the second book in the Second Formic War series, and that is following the first book, which was The Swarm. They have a very handy little chart in the back which shows you the first three books that were in the first Formic War series, the two books that are out in the Second Formic War series, and I believe the third one's coming out early 2022, which it is now 2022. So I read The Swarm, I immediately went and picked up The Hive, and then as soon as the book comes out and the library has it, I will be getting the third book. Sorry for the glare, the library puts this little clear plastic protective cover over their books, which can make it hard to read. So The Hive is the second book in the Second Formic War series. In case you're not familiar with this series, this is kind of the second step following the first Formic War series. So Earth is under attack. Earth was initially under attack during the first series. This was a First Contact series where these aliens that kind of look like ants, they're called Formics, attacked Earth. There were many people trying to get the word out, but due to various reasons and internal politics on Earth, things weren't really set up by the time that the Formics arrived, and they wound up doing some serious damage to China, but were ultimately routed. Second Formic War. Unfortunately, we discovered that the first ship that was sent to Earth was not the attack on Earth. It was kind of sent to soften up Earth and get it ready biologically for the Formics' unique biology and make it livable to the Formics so it can become a colony. That does not happen because we kill the first ones, but now there's still a whole group of many more Formics coming towards us. And this is the Second Formic War series where we realize we didn't beat the threat, we beat the advanced wave, and now we have to beat this additional threat and this much bigger threat. This Second Formic War series, a key feature in this is discussion about whether or not the leader who is leading the Formics is a Hive Queen, as in, does she have telepathic command of her soldiers? Is there one queen who kind of operates a hive mind? And if so, if we take this queen out, do we have a strategic advantage in the war? Because it is very obviously strategically advantageous to be able to control all of your soldiers individually as required. This book follows a lot of the same characters in the first series, and also obviously following the ones from the first book in the Second Formic War series. So a lot of this book focuses on Mazer and Bingwen. Mazer Rackham is a former New Zealand special ops guy, and Bingwen is a young boy now turning into a teen who lost his parents when the Formics attacked China. He is somewhat of a Chinese prodigy, a child prodigy. He's also Chinese, but the International Fleet, which is Earth's kind of combined military force now, has taken him and would like to train him. They're secretly training children because they want to mobilize child prodigies or their talent to see if they can kind of weaponize these children to give them a strategic advantage in the war. The ethics of that, a little iffy, but a lot of things in this book are ethically questionable. But that also begs a question: if the survival of the whole human species is at stake, what ethical lines can you cross that you normally can't cross? Which is a question that I don't know if anyone has a good answer to. But that is something that does come up. People are concerned about the use of children, but it's not very well known right now that Bingwen is military. He is part of a school, but it's not advertised that the International Fleet or IF is using children. Bingwen and Mazer Rackham spend a lot of this book, I say the focus of the book is what they're doing, but they spend a lot of this book doing a lot of nothing, because a big focus of this book is how, despite being faced with an existential threat, humanity, and particularly the International Fleet, spends a lot of time worrying about their own game. There's a lot of corrupt leaders, there's a lot of corrupt generals, or not even generals. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know a lot about military ranks. People in the chain of command in the International Fleet who care more about their own advancement and career than they do about the survival of the human race, and that leads to things such as not passing on information in a timely manner, locking up people who might be a threat to your career but provide valuable intel, making deals with military contractors to either get kickbacks or do something else for your own benefit. There's quite a number of people we meet throughout this book who are members of the International Fleet who are acting for their own gain and their own benefit. And it's incredibly frustrating to see humans, when faced with an existential threat, still not act for the good of the species. But it does raise another very interesting question, second interesting question that's kind of raised here, and that is, we want to all believe that if humans are faced with an existential threat, such as an alien species that is actively spraying bioweapon into the air and mass killing people, we would all band together for the common good. But would we? Or would we still be petty? Would we still want to operate for our own gain? Because what gain is there if all of humanity dies off? If the entire species dies off, well, your military career doesn't really matter. But would people see past that? Were they actually in the situation, or would they continue to be petty? Which is kind of a question of this book. There are also people like someone who's a minor character or a little side character in some of the previous books, a pirate whose name is Khalid, I believe is his name, Khalid. He is a pirate. He is using the war and the chaos caused by the war to advance his own profits and his own gain. And he is a very cruel individual, very, very cruel. And it makes you wonder, too, about the kind of people who are willing to advance their own profit margin or get a little extra on the side despite humanity facing such an extreme crisis. So this book kind of entirely centers around the fact that they think the Hive Queen has, well, they don't even know if there is a Hive Queen, but if she does, or even if there isn't the queen at the helm of this, there seems to be some center location for the Formics. They need to find it and take it out, but the war is not going well at all, in part due to these self-serving individuals in the chain of command. So this book kind of centers around people's interactions with these inept leaders, people's attempts to remove them. We see some work with Lem Jukes. Lem Jukes took over Jukes, I don't know, Jukes something, Jukes Mining, Jukes, they do military contracting, they do mining, they just seem to be a huge corporation. He took over it after his father became a leader on Earth. What is his experience with the military? We have Imala and Victor, who are now married but have been separated. They've kind of been forced drafted by the International Fleet. What is their experience with these people? We get some perspective from Khalid, or Khalid. What is a pirate's perspective on the Formics or the International Fleets? How do they view it? What's their kind of mindset towards this? So we get a lot of different perspectives of this, and I think it's very, very interesting, and it's a lot of frustration. I feel like a lot of this series has been frustration because we have, through the entire first series, the frustration of no one's listening to the people who are raising warning signs that this big force is on the way and needs to be dealt with until it's too late, and it causes a lot of unnecessary death. And now we're seeing the same situation play out with basically the same situation, but with different variables play out, but now in space. No one is working for the common good. Well, I don't say no one. There's plenty of people working for the common good, but there are still people who are being more individualistically, individually focused and thinking about their own gain instead of the gain or the survival of humanity at this point. And it's just frustrating to see another book where humanity can't get it pulled together in the face of an existential threat, I should say. This book overall for me was a 4-star. I really, really enjoyed it. I think there was a little bit of a tone change from the entire first series, the first Formic War series to the second Formic War series. I think there's been a tone change. And I think between the first book and the second book, there's been a little bit of a tone change. There's a little thing on the front that says, "The Swarm is more similar to Ender's Game than any of the 3 other prequel novels. Fans will enjoy the subtle development of the Battle School's foundation." To be honest, I read Ender's Game a really long time ago, so I can't confirm if I find that accurate. But I do think there's been a little bit of a tone change here. It's subtle. I can't really tell what it is, but people smarter than me will, I'm sure, be able to figure it out and tell me what they find different. But yeah, this was a 4-star read. I really enjoyed it. I will say that it's kind of depressing to read page after page of career-minded people putting aside humanity's good for their own career good over and over and over. And there was definitely a slow spot in the middle where I don't know if I slowed down reading it because of personal time commitments or if I was just sick of reading, the careerists in the military who were just putting their own career advancement above humanity's survival, and those people were just driving me crazy. So I did slow down for a little bit in the middle, so it took me longer to read than normal, but I still found it to be a very, very good book overall, and I'm definitely going to get book 3 when it comes out. I think a lot of stuff in here could set up interestingly enough for book 3, and I will say the last third of this book was very, very good. I sat completely still, powered through the whole last third, and I'm very excited, and I'm kind of annoyed that the next book isn't just available at my public library, so I'm not gonna be able to return this and go get book 3. I'm actually gonna have to wait for it to be released, which is, I guess, the problem of reading books that are written more recently or series that aren't completed, is you have to wait for it to be finished and published. But yeah, I'm excited to read the next book in this series. If you have read this one, please let me know what you think. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on this, and yeah, other than that, have a great day, everyone.